Oh, I was saying, I always laugh when
I'm Pat.
They,
Sorry.
they know.
Damn it.
This is the podcast you. This is basically low key become your podcast.
Oh, yeah. Hey, welcome to my show.
Welcome
Andy,
to No
tell me
More
about,
Heroes.
Tell me about what you were doing the other day.
Hosted by Pat George.
Hosted about?
People may not notice it's Pat's show because I'm just so good at grabbing those reins. Yeah, and you're the moment you realize it's your show, you're like, I have the ultimate power.
I could do anything.
I can do anything I want, and they'll still love me. No, I had a tweet. Go like, for me, a little viral.
Uh-huh.
It's like almost at 1,000 likes.
Nice.
And the comments you get in there are like the gayest people in human history.
Oh.
And like, cause the tweet was, you know, when you see on Twitter, it'll be like one of those pictures where someone has a bunch of like swords or guns to their head.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, give me a hot take that'll put you in this position.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be about alcohol. And I just made a joke where I was like, 6 beers on a work night isn't that many. And it was like going good. And then, dude, so many of the comments were just like, you better be talking about 16 ounces. Those 12-ounce cans aren't enough for me. And it's like, yes, you have big balls because you can drink way too fucking much.
You have a bigger problem than me.
Well, I was
Wow.
laughing because I was like half kidding because I've done that many a time where I drink 6 beers on a fucking weeknight and it's 100% too many.
Yeah. Yes, 6 beers is a little too much.
Yeah, 4, I think on a week.
Because on a work night, let's do it. Let's do the math. 6 on a work night, you're getting home. You're getting off around 5. Let's just say 5:30. Right?
Yeah.
It takes you about a half hour to get home.
Yeah.
You're gonna take a shower, hopefully, but maybe that's your first beer, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Now you're home around 6, so that's between 6 and 10 or 12.
Yeah.
It's 1 an hour. Actually, it's not that much. You're fine.
But here's
Andy,
the
you're wrong.
Here's the thing, though.
Why do we do
Realistically,
math?
depending on when you start, it's not a big deal. Because I would always like get home, like shower from work, do whatever I needed to do, and make dinner and all this other shit. And then I would start drinking. I wouldn't be drinking throughout the night. And then it's like I would realistically start drinking around 8, and then like 6 beers would get me decently drunk, and then I would probably stay up till about 1 or 2 in the morning to have to get up at 6 for work the next day.
Yeah.
And like, because in those standards, I was like, but it was making me laugh. There were dudes who are also just like, brother, I drink 12 beers a night, and I go, that's too many.
Yeah.
Dude, it's kind of crazy how people take for granted how fucked up on alcohol and drugs the vast majority of the workforce is, or like hungover, or like they get their job done and then they just get like fucked up. Like I remember my one buddy I used to work with, he would tell me his dad would work in Jersey. They lived in the Poconos. He would work in Jersey right over the border of the state, grab a 6-pack, crush the 6-pack on the way home to the Poconos, and then proceed to finish off a case. And he's like, he would do that every night. And I go, that's a lot, but I was like, I got to imagine more people do that than don't.
You know what's really funny is this. It's
Righteous Gemstones.
Richard Ginger.
It's a really funny show.
I've never seen Richard Ginger. What is that?
fuck up.
What's that show? What channel is that on?
It's a show where I fucking buy a gun and shoot you in the face.
Humpacapes. It's
Yeah.
a Humpacapes.
I'll fucking get you a subscription to you fucking getting shot in the fucking dick.
Anyway, I had a friend of mine. I had a friend of mine that used to. It was my best friend growing up. Like from probably like elementary school through middle school, all this shit. And he was a only child, and his dad would always ride his bike everywhere.
Yeah.
But also would only, and I'm telling you, only
Jeez,
drink.
Dad would ride his bike everywhere?
Yeah, would drink beer.
Yeah.
And I was like, it took me a while to realize he had to ride his bike because of
yeah.
all the beer he was drinking.
That,
he worked at the bowling alley, and he would crush. And the type of beer he drank, I have never seen it again. And it's very similar to what like this can looks like.
Yeah, like a
It wa-
12.
it was like a
These are
store-
12 ounces, right?
It was like a store brand beer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like it was like a Sam's Choice.
Yeah.
Like the box was like this weird silvery look, and it was just this
Bro,
Yeah.
you don't gotta tell me. I've definitely.
It's
I love
unrecognizable. I don't know.
I
what
love
type of beer
finding
that
a
is.
beer. I love finding a beer where you're like, it's not like it's a fun local, and it's a shitty
You
beer.
get the
You're like-
most for the least.
yeah, where you're like, I've never heard of that.
But he would just crush those like 12 packs after 12 packs after 12 packs, but never like visibly drunk, in my opinion.
No, that happened to one of my buddies. He got a DUI, but he would so he got his car taken away.
Yeah.
But he would still ride his bike to the beer distributor.
John Murphy. That's his name. Like that. Then you find out that's his name, and you're like, like you could. If I just said that name to any of you out there, and it's not somebody you personally know, you can picture what John Murphy looks like, and most likely he's fucking drunk.
John Murphy has visitation on the weekends, but doesn't use it.
It was crazy. I wish I could get there, but I can't take my bike on the highway. So,
dude, you know what's crazy? I got so drunk and fucked up from smoking terrible Lucky Strike cigarettes on 4th of July that like I have.
You like scared yourself straight?
No, I haven't scared myself straight. I just haven't. Like I've smoked cigarettes and drank beer since then, but I haven't had. Like usually I'm good for getting kind of drunk, at least drunk to very drunk once a week.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know if it's a joke, if it's a regular joke, or if it was something newer you were trying or whatever. But on the Comedy Heist, when you said something about drinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a beer tonight or whatever, and just feel like, because I haven't really drank this week.
Oh yeah, I've been doing that.
Okay, yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
but like that thing of like. It's such a low bar of like a reward.
You haven't drank all week,
You're
you get a
like,
reward.
Well, I haven't really gotten high that much. You're like,
yeah.
You're always.
Well, that's my favorite thing we do on Panties. Nate does it all the time. He's like, yeah, dude, I've been pretty good.
Yeah.
It's been about 3 days since I've drank fucking 10 shots of whiskey.
Lemaire does it too. Lemaire
like,
does
dude,
it.
That's not. You have to understand. Everyone who listens to the pod has day jobs, and they like this is not impressive whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like it's an incredible. That's the thing too. Is those are the days that I end up like delaying it at all. But it's not a choice. I just forgot to take drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't be even in that case of being like, well, it's 3:00. Why am I still like edgy? Like why am I so fucking pissed? And it's just like, oh, it's because you haven't taken drugs yet. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not because I made a conscious choice. It is a good silver lining because you're very productive. But like to say that, oh,
well, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't trying to do like I've been a good boy because I also hate that when like comedians go on podcasts and have been like, hey, I've met the bare minimum standard of human existence. Give me compliments.
Yeah.
No, I'm more saying is like I would have expected myself to have, I don't know, like bought a 6-pack and crushed it at home, or would have like gotten a little hammered at the creek one of the nights in the past couple weeks. But like I got so fucked up on the 4th of July that I just haven't gotten excited over the thought of getting fucked up in a while.
Yeah. I was playing. I actually kind of do the opposite. It's really funny. The juxtaposition, like most people's, like hearing the guys say like, yeah, I haven't really partied this week, and be like, I partied with you last night, idiot. Yeah. And it's like, but also I have to make the conscious effort the other way of being like, I ate like probably about 8 to 10 meatballs last night, and I fell asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
But I was intending on going out to the creek and partying.
That's so funny.
And it's so funny that I'm just sitting there going like, okay, gotta get up.
Go fell asleep like, over meatballs.
We're like, they're just like, hair of the dog.
The food shit's one I've been actually like getting a bit of a hold on. I'm down. I can't remember where I topped off at. I think I topped off at like 325. Mm-hmm. Actually, I might be down 10 pounds now that I think about it. I know. I still look like shit. But yeah, no, I checked it and
it's like, Andy, where are you keeping it? Oh, there it is. I found it. It's right there. Sorry, you just moved it.
No, I'm so happy. My gut just goes. I have like a Bert Kreischer gut. My gut just goes forward.
Yeah, you have a jet gut.
And I saw a video of it was complete like fat shaming bait. It was this guy. He had the biggest inner tube I've ever seen on a man. And he was like a gay guy, and he was just like, yeah, I tried to cut this into a crop top. This is way too short. I go, I mean, you should be wearing baggy shirts all the time, you psychopath. Like, why are you doing it? And it's like, it was rage bait to have people online go like, you fucking fat fuck. Yeah.
This is such an interesting thought I had recently. I won't say who.
That's really a funny way to start your statement. This is actually an incredibly thought-provoking statement.
What you're saying. No, this is it's ironic that I actually had this genuine thought of like, I think we need to start. So like when you see a lady wearing a crop top with her belly hanging out, not a midriff showing your midriff.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying you got a gut. You're not nearly as fat as us. Wonderful. Good for you.
Good for you.
But guess what?
Stupid bitch.
I still don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a thing where like if a guy was wearing a crop top and his fucking belly was hanging out, people would go like, you fucking idiot, loser. Like nobody, but when women wear that, and like I'm talking about women comedians on stage wearing like short shorts and fucking belly shirts with your fucking gut hanging out and shit like that. It's empowering, but like men are like, you're supposed to wear pants and you gotta do this.
I don't know what.
It's crazy to me to think that we don't fat shame women more.
Well,
more in person. Like to go like, what the fuck are you like? You're wearing like, where's the rest of your shirt?
Well, that's the problem. Like
they cry. That's why you can't do it. They cry when you do it.
That's why I fuck with people like our friend. You guys probably don't know her, but our friend Dulce. Like Dulce will take a beating. Like we beat her up. We fucking punch her in the head. But no, like even what we're doing right now.
Crowbars.
Even what we're doing right now is like Dulce can take a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like we would never. I mean, she's not fat, but we would also. Wouldn't be mean to her like that. But at the same time, like you'd be talking shit. She can take the shit talking, and it's like people have been brainwashed where it's like, yeah, I want to show the boys that I can be just like them. Also, if they say anything critical of me, I will crumble emotionally.
Yeah.
And you're like, you gotta pick one or the other.
It's like it's
the age-old. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's the age-old problem of ladies. You're either strong, independent woman who don't need no man, or
delicate
I'm
little
just
flowers.
a little baby that can't be expected not to be retarded.
Yeah. How would you say such mean things to me?
You gotta pick one.
Words hurt.
And I gotta be honest.
Words hurt.
Dudes, more dudes than not, are completely comfortable with you being a little retarded baby.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a strong, independent female.
It's also funny though, like if you or I were to walk out to the back patio of the creek, where wearing crop tops or belly shirts or whatever, where our fucking guts are hanging out.
The girls with crop tops are gonna make fun of us.
Yeah, rightfully so, and rightfully so, right? Because it's funny. So it's funny to make fun of somebody that's like, it is. So if a woman like, and that's the thing, Dulce doesn't have a belly. But like if there is a thing that she's wearing that like is obviously silly, do you know what I mean? Like sometimes she just dresses like she's in the Matrix.
She's the
like
kind
she's a
of girl
prostitute in the Matrix.
She's the kind of girl that would just show up to the fucking creek wearing like a sparkly cowboy hat and just not expect anyone to say anything.
Right, you have to go like,
yeah, cool, Dulce, you look like a dumbass.
Howdy, partner.
No, you know what the real problem is? It's the age-old problem of women aren't actually friends with each other. So they're never, because that's women's jobs. That's women. Because if
we can't comment on their clothes because we're either pigs or we're sexist or we're patriarchs or whatever. But women can go like, but what they do is they gaslight each other. They go like, oh my God, that is such a cute outfit. I got to tell you, I've seen recently, I will say it off the air. I don't want to say it on, but recently we've been around somebody that I'm like, what the fuck are you wearing? Like you look ridiculous. Either I'm going to start matching what the women I see wearing, like, and doing stage time wearing it, like, or we have to start saying stuff real time, being like, but that's the thing, is it shatters someone's confidence. They'll cry, but also that's what we all have done. That's freight training. That's any of that other shit. It's like that thing where you're like, yeah, you gotta handle somebody going like that.
Well, the problem
ridiculous.
a lot of times too, and this it's my age-old advice when fighting with your wife or your girlfriend, if it gets to the point where it's a little aggressive and you guys start shit talking a little and you need to maybe like get a few fucking jabs out or whatever, use masculine words.
Dickhead.
Don't call him a bitch.
Yeah.
Don't call him a cunt. Say asshole.
Yeah. Dude, this person was absolutely dressed like a fucking asshole Kid Rock fan.
You almost have to talk to them like a dude to show that you're like, no, this is about you being a dumbass.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you being a woman. Dude, I want to get, sorry, you got me on ladies. My wife hit me with a haymaker of like, no, you're being retarded.
Yeah.
So like she texted me, she got something for the cats. And she texted me because she was out on her way to the gym, and she was like, one of the cat's medicine just showed up. Can you grab it from the front porch? And I was like, got it. I take it in. Usually I grab it and I put it on the kitchen table. I grabbed it and I just put it near the door. And then she comes home. And she's like, I see you didn't grab the box I asked you to get. I was like, yeah, I did. It's inside. I was like, it's just by the door. And then she looks at me and she goes, and I go, no, I did it.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you mad about?
Yeah, I did exactly.
I did the thing.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, and dude, it literally reminds me. I like so many times we'll get in a fight, and then I will realize I'm wrong, and I will unequivocally apologize top to bottom.
Yeah.
And then it's like she has this energy. She's like, "Well, I've still allotted 10 more minutes of being mad at you."
Yeah.
And it was one of those things. She's like, "Oh, but I've decided that you're a dumb piece of shit."
Yeah. I was already mad about this, so I'm not gonna like it. Or starts doing the thing where you're like looking around. She's like, "Well, you didn't refill that."
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's not what you were mad about. You can't just switch it to another thing.
Yeah. But dude, sometimes when my wife gets like that, I wish I could have just fucking fought her in Pride FC.
Hey. They would have done it. Brother, they didn't do intergender, but they did do open weight Grand Prix.
I remember that. Dude, I gotta be honest. I took for granted how much fucking like lore there is in MMA. Because I like MMA, but when I'm actually watching,
it's a story. It is still so close to the beginning that it is a story that you can tell, and it's like a great movie.
When I'm actually watching the fights, I become like, if they're grappling the whole time, I don't have the knowledge or excitement to like really get into that.
Yeah.
I turn into the casual who pops when like the crazy knockout happens, like everyone else does. Yeah. But brother, dude, like I went to the channel you were telling me about, MMA On Point, and I was watching shit about Pride, and then I found like Vice did a documentary, and I just took for granted how much fucking lore there is with MMA and Pride FC and all these different companies, and I just got woken the fuck up. So I'm very excited to talk about this.
A lot of like people don't realize like there's a lot of unanswered questions in MMA. There's a lot of what ifs. Like even in its short amount of time of being, prevalent, essentially a lot of these organizations, Pride was only around 10 years.
Yeah, that was so it's not.
It started in like 97, I believe.
What's the big Japanese company now? Is it called like ONE FC?
ONE FC, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's one fighting championship. One is one of the greatest organizations to like. Japan absolutely has a great like history and stuff like that. Obviously, we talked about it last week with like the shoot wrestling. A lot of these organizations coming from that, but like I think overall like ONE FC is a great next step in a MMA organization because they do different events as well. So like in one fight card, you might have a grappling only match, where it's just they have grappling championships and divisions and everything like that. They have Muay Thai kickboxing, traditional kickboxing. They have just a different style kickboxing, as well as MMA fights as well. So like they have all of these different things. That's a combat sports organization through and through. So like I would say I would see ONE FC becoming as big as Pride at one point, but I think a lot of the spectacle that came with Pride was part of it.
Yeah, that's what I heard about. They were talking about in a bunch of the videos I was watching about Pride, where they did. Because the one I watched, they were saying before Pride really got cooking, like professional wrestling, in the sense of like WWE and shit like that, was super popular. Mm-hmm. So like the Japanese audiences were into combat sports, but they were more of a fan of the fanfare of everything, and Pride really leaned into that.
Yeah, so like there is, I mean, it was, yeah, so it's defunct in 2007. It was purchased by the UFC. So their entire catalog is all available on UFC Fight Pass, which I take advantage of as much as I can.
Yeah.
And that because Pride FC had, that's where the legendary fight between Sakuraba and Royce Gracie, the over hour-long match.
Was that, wait, so I kept seeing stuff pop up about that. Do you think he actually has video of it?
Of what?
Is that the one where, or no, not Sakuraba. Okay, I might be mixing them up. There was one match that the Gracies did where they were fighting. It was like when the Gracies first let people know, like, yo, we're the shit. And they fought this one dude in Japan, and there was a picture of him, and he looked like he got fucked up. But he was like, no, they actually jumped me. And then the Gracies were like, no, we have video of it proving we fucked him up. And then they're like, release the video. And he's like, I'll release it when I want to.
Yeah, so the Gracies are, like, I said this a little bit last time, I think, but it's interesting to find so many roots coming from so many different areas. Yeah. Like the Gracies kind of act like they created. It's so funny for them to be taught a martial art like jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, which is very judo forward kind of thing. It's basically, but which is the full amount. That's the full start to finish. Like you need to get them to the ground, and then you can do your submission moves. Yeah, it's the same thing. You learn takedowns, you learn throws, you learn how to control a situation, how to handle an opponent much bigger than you, all this other shit. It's very similar. They were taught that, the Gracies,
and then they were like,
we invented it.
Yeah,
and it's just like, well, you invented Brazilian
jiu-jitsu,
but it's jiu-jitsu. It's a lot of the same moves. It's a lot of the same thing. So what they would do to promote their gym, this is why I believe the Japanese guy over anybody else.
Yeah,
is because what they would do is they would go out in Rio or like Brazil to like nightclubs and like bad parts of town, just specifically to get into fights to show how dominant their martial art was.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah, so like that's what they would do. So I would totally understand them going out, getting into a fucking altercation with this guy, just to show him that they could beat his ass.
Well, I remember the funny part about the video where the guy was like, he's like, one of the reasons he didn't want to release it, he's like, it's too gruesome. I go, I'm sure it's fine.
It's not. And that's the thing is like, I've seen Gracies get their arm broken by Sakuraba in Pride.
Yeah.
Like it is gross, but it's also like there's no way you did anything worse than that.
There's also something really funny about being a Brazilian guy and being like, we invented this, and you're like, brother, say the name of it.
Jiu-jitsu.
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 It's the most Japanese sounding word I've ever heard.
When we teach you jiu-jitsu. And you're like, that's not even how it's pronounced. You're not even saying the jiu-jitsu.
It's so funny to be like, yeah, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
From Brazil. Sure, dude.
No. It's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You're not pronouncing it right. It's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
No, you don't understand. Jiu-jitsu from Brazil.
It is really funny how impressive my Portuguese accent is. I'm very excited about that. Jiu-jitsu. So they start this organization, and it's essentially it's before the UFC. So this is the age of the human cockfighting era. That dickhead John McCain is calling
rest in peace.
Rest in peace, you piece of shit. You don't
we are going to talk about that, right?
Yeah, eventually.
Okay, because I was thinking about that. The week we do that,
we should piss on his grave.
Yeah, we'll laugh at his fat daughter.
Real heroes don't get captured.
Dude, love him or hate him, arguably one of the funniest things Trump ever said.
Craziest things you could say. I can't believe
psychotic.
People support him and the troops. It is so crazy to me.
Well, dude, not to get into a whole Epstein thing, but like literally, the way he turns on people is psychotic. Because he literally was just like, he was like last week. Because everyone was like, hey, man, you responded weird when I asked about the Epstein shit. And he was like, anyone who doesn't believe me is a fucking pussy. You're like, cool, dude. Just shit on your entire base. But anyway, no, I wanna learn a bunch about all the specific shit about John McCain. So, like, every time we bring up how upset he is about human cockfighting, it's just like, hey, man, didn't you, like, promote killing a shit ton of brown people in different countries over some fake bullshit?
Yeah. So there was a lot of differences like that I think made, because and you say differences, or I say differences, but I say but I really mean more of like they were setting a standard. A lot more fights were like tournament based.
Yeah.
Because I and this is the funniest thing is like I do believe that these tournaments and these fighting like competitions were happening long before these organizations are brought. They're bringing spectacle to the martial art. So like they're essentially these fights, these tournaments and things were happening already.
Yeah.
They already happen all over the place. This is them saying we want to capture what it would be like to have this. So they have these open weight Grand Prix fights.
It's insane.
That's insane. Exactly. So like a lot of times
how many times are you fighting during that?
I think it's
if you
three.
Go the
I think
distance.
It's 3. I think there's 3 fights in a night. Yeah.
Wait,
so,
in a night?
In a night. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the point. So like,
I was assuming it was over a day.
So Sakuraba could not continue in that tournament because he was exhausted after that hour-long fight.
Yeah,
that was the first fight in that Grand Prix. He
bailed because he was like, I'm not shitting on him. He's like, I'm so fucking tired.
Yeah, you have to like they couldn't. So a lot of times, so like there's so many fighters that ended up becoming more famous, or at least more widely known to more people in like the UFC, like Vanderlei Silva. Who else? Verdum, I think, fought a little bit. He was also in other organizations. There's another one called I think it was Affliction. The company,
sure.
They had a fighting organization as well.
Shit.
I believe that was the name of it. And like Randy Couture ended up going there. And also one thing that I really love about Pride is you got to see a lot of these UFC fighters end up fighting Fedor. Did you get into Fedor at all during this? Fedor Emelianenko is
I know that I've heard the name a million times.
He was like a phenom for the longest time. He was like unbeatable heavyweight for the longest time. And he fought in Pride as well. So like you could see somebody like Lyoto Machida fighting somebody like Bob Sapp or who was your favorite guy? Don Fry.
My favorite dude in the world.
The guy
what's his name? Don Fry.
Don Fry. And
brother, dude, walking out.
He talks like this.
Yeah.
MMA's soft now.
Dude, he was the guy during the Vice documentary. I was listening to the Vice documentary while playing Fortnite, and then every time he popped up, because I kept forgetting about him, you hear that voice, and I just like look at my phone and be like, "Who the fuck? Oh, that's my boy Don."
Yeah.
No, my favorite image was during they were talking about Don Fry in the one part, and I looked down, and he's holding an American flag, and he has a white T-shirt in red letters that just says "Terrorists suck." I go, that's the coolest guy in the world. It's such like a. There's the type of people that like create history. They're people who are not self-aware, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Because they're worried about doing their thing. They're not worried about like I'm the type of guy who's like, all right, we need to analyze this and break it down and understand it. That's why I'm not making history. I'm making fucking videos commenting about it. You know what I'm saying? Don Fry's a guy who's just like, I don't fucking like those dudes. How do I let them know? I know. I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says "Terrorists suck," so they know they fucking suck.
Yeah,
that's the coolest guy in the world.
He is like he seems like he's very much of the era of the early UFC. You've seen he's a guy that you've seen in like those early clips. He's not Tank Abbott. He's the big porn star looking guy. Big mustache, hairy chest, like just a fucking just.
And he. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like he represents the old school of UFC where everyone looks scary.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the UFC guys, like who's the dude who does commentary with all the tattoos?
Commentary with all the tattoos. Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
Lionheart.
White guy.
Bald head. He's actually mixed, but yeah.
Oh, is he? Because doesn't he have like... He's got like neck and hand tattoos and shit. Yeah, you'd see that guy walking down the street and you'd be like, man, I wonder what metalcore band he's in.
Yeah.
And turns out you're like, no, he can kill you.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of UFC guys now are unassuming. Not all of them, but more of them now are unassuming than they were back in the day. Don Fry just has that thing where you're like, I don't know what he does, but I am not going to piss him off.
Yeah. And I think there's like the interesting thing with a lot of... And I think the reason somebody like him making the statement like MMA is soft now or anything like that was because he's somebody who was successful in the Pride era. Like that was the thing was he was
built for that era.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you have this thing where there's a fight. I wish I could remember the name of the fighter, but there's a fight between Don Fry and this gigantic Asian dude. Also, I think he fought Bob Sapp too, the Asian guy. But he looks like a ginormous, giant Asian guy. And Don Fry and him, legitimately, they do the announcements, they do the things, and boom, go. And it's just them just locking up essentially and just punching each other like this.
Yeah.
And like to the extent where... And they're not missing each other.
Which sidebar?
It's like it's closer to a hockey fight than it is an MMA fight.
Which quick sidebar on that? Yeah. People when they do that in wrestling all the time, and people always shit on it because truthfully, in professional wrestling, it's hard to make that look good.
Yeah.
And to like without, it's hard to make it look good and to not just punch him in the head. Or I think I said that wrong. You know what I mean though. But like I go like no, that's a. It's the thing that always reminds me where I go, oh yeah, most wrestling fans learned about fighting through action movies.
Yeah.
Because there will be these things all the time, like there's this one character, Gunther, people are like, oh my god, he tapped out so quickly at WrestleMania, and I go, yep, that's what happens. You Googled versus giant Asian guy. Oh, I think I saw this clip, yeah.
This is one of my favorite, I just want to, like, even just the picture, just this, oh, of course, right, yeah, thanks, Google. Yeah, we want it really small, that's why I clicked it. What I said was, put it really, really small. But yeah, here, yeah, is Yoshihiro Takayama. So like they just literally lock up with each other. It's right here, like this. Like this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. This little thing right here.
And just punch each other in the head.
Yeah, they just continuously punch each other in the fucking head. And like it kind of just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And then I believe Don Fry actually won this fight. But look at his shorts. That's another reason why you gotta love him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the America short shorts rip.
He's a guy that.
Oh yeah, look, he's putting his hand up. He did win.
Yeah. So like, there's a situation where it's a lot of times people may say it's a
giant Asian guy. Is so funny.
Hey, it got me there.
I mean, yeah, it got you there.
But there's a situation that like they're considered like freak show fights.
Yeah.
But I think Don Fry's in a way saying like, no, it's very animalistic because they allow like soccer kicks. The rule set for Pride was a unified thing. Soccer kicks, you're allowed stomps, I believe. Kicking a down opponent was fine. Like so that's I think
back of the head.
No back of the head. I don't think back of the head. You're allowed to spike, I believe, which is dropping people on their head. If you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I believe,
or maybe that it might have been that and low blows were like the only things like eye gouging. I think certain things where you're like, no, you're going to permanently injure them. I think we're not on the rule set, but I do. This is my truest belief was I think what they're saying is what MMA is, Andy, is like it's supposed to be the cleanest, clearest representation of who would win in a real life fight.
Yeah.
So like, and considering these are Grand Prix that are going throughout the night, multiple fights in a night. If you're successful, obviously, if you lose, you don't continue, but you continue to fight even if you win. I think this rule set is built to help, expedite the fighting. So like essentially, they're like, yeah, you can kick him in the head. Like if you knock him down, finish the fuck out of the fight and let's go.
So you don't
you
have
gotta go to
like,
the next fight.
You don't have the shit that like, oh, he would have won there, but so the fight moves a little quicker.
Essentially, like if you're allowed.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, with the tournament style, it would encourage a more looser fighting style that kept everything going quicker. Because yeah, that's the biggest. That's like the biggest bummer, especially at my level of fandom, when you learn that this fight is crazy, and then you're just like, oh, it went 5 rounds and they don't look that fucked up.
Yeah, and like if all the fights go the distance and nobody's willing to give up, so like that's why, and also the open weight, that part of it too, like saying like you're gonna be more motivated if you're the smaller guy to close the fight out quicker with the big guy, so he doesn't like just lay all over you or pummel the shit out of you. It doesn't matter. There's not a lot of strategy aside from be first. So like that's why Pride is so exciting, is because and UFC has done this before too. The one UFC that they had in Japan early on, the first one ever, was a tournament like that. And I think even some of the earlier UFCs, I believe, were tournaments. But it was a situation where you can't have it take too long. When you have those situations with, with like the first UFC, it could end up being kind of boring after a while because a lot of the stuff that would be allowed is not allowed.
Yeah.
But if a fighting style like jiu-jitsu is implemented correctly,
invented in Brazil, jiu-jitsu.
Like even like there's a lot of times where I do wish that Pride could have lasted longer, but they were the standard for a long time, and they were a lot of people, even when early UFC was all over the place.
Well, UFC's good at like,
but not in a good way. Like they would have a thing where like you can wear what you want, but like they wouldn't allow 2 boxing gloves. So one guy had like 1 boxing glove. It was a weird ass thing. Like you could wear a gi. Some people could wear wrestling shoes, but if you wanted to, but you couldn't wear, something like you could wear whatever you could come out with whatever you want. Like it's turned into way more of a sports organization, not necessarily entertainment, because there's still definite like they're given something.
Well, they have the entertainment in UFC is more at like the press conferences and stuff.
Yeah,
but when it's
actually
the fight, they seem to try to keep it as locked in as possible.
And Pride would, because of like you were saying, like the how popular like pro wrestling was and everything, they would allow gimmicks, masks, and like walk out
fighting in general, because like in Japan they have like the long history of sumo and stuff. Like I think Japan just has more of an appreciation for fighting in general.
And that's the thing, is they have an appreciation for combat sports, for spectacle, for all this other stuff, but also like it's a martial art. Like it's a thing that's like it's ingrained in their culture.
It's way more in their culture than ours.
Yeah. So like a lot of the stuff. So I've been talking about in the past, like
that's why over here there's a bunch of freezers calling it cockfighting. You're like, yeah, who gives a shit? Stop being a pussy.
Yeah. What are you staring at their cocks for?
Yeah.
Like, stop staring at their cocks and look at their fists.
Yeah, I want to watch those things fight, but God,
but we're looking about their arms.
Stop being obvious about how you're staring at their cocks.
Other limbs, you creep.
You fuck.
So they have a lot of success, obviously, but they're not financially successful. either whether it be them paying their fighters too much, they could be spending too much on the spectacle or the TV rights or anything like that.
They could be palling around with the Yakuza.
That's when that might come up. Maybe there might be, and apparently that's a really rampant thing in Japanese sports in general.
Yeah, I think
that at some point, almost every organization, the Yakuza gets their finger in the.
I think people take it for granted because, and it's funny, if you want to learn about it, check out Whitney Webb has these books called One Nation Under Blackmail. And I listened to the audiobook for the first one, and in the first one she covers how much influence that American mobs have over government and stuff like that. But the American mobs, I think Americans don't think about it because we've been tricked into thinking oh yeah, the mob was like John Gotti and those guys back in the day, but they don't have any real power. I would be shocked to learn that they don't have, I think they're just better. I think they just were too they had too many guys who wanted to be in the spotlight, and I think the mob just got smarter about hiding their shit. But because Americans probably don't realize how much mob influences over the government, they take for granted how much. And I'm no expert on it, but I've been realizing oh yeah, the Yakuza has so much more influence over Japanese government and Japanese society than I think Americans realize.
Yeah, I think so. It was 2006 where they ended up running into financial troubles because the scandal showed them having ties to the Yakuza, which caused them to lose lots of their lucrative TV deals, and people didn't want to associate with somebody that is known for being so connected with a known crime organization.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2007, the UFC buys Pride, and in that merger only helps. That I believe that so there's two huge steps in two big things that really happened, I think, in my opinion, that made the UFC successful. It was the Fertitta brothers buying the UFC.
Who are they again?
They were friends of Dana White. I think they're casino owners and stuff like that.
And that's where the restaurant... Who was it? The Chefs Union in New York? Which union was it in
Restaurant,
New York?
Yeah, it's the...
It's like the restaurant union.
It's like the caterers.
Something?
It's like some weird
something
shit
like that.
Yeah,
and it's because of the Fertitta brothers specifically. That's why they had so much trouble with the unions in New York, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll get into that later. But anyway, so the Fertitta brothers buy UFC.
But in my opinion, I feel like it was that, and then when they acquire. So 2005, I think, was the first The Ultimate Fighter reality show series that they did. That a lot of people go oh, that was the reason they got so popular. I do agree. So maybe it's three things. I think the triple whammy. They did them buying the UFC,
whammy,
then them doing the reality show,
whammy,
2005, and then after that, getting all those eyes on them, then they acquire Pride, 2007,
whammy,
wham, whammy. Now you got the turkey,
wham, wham, whammy.
So wham, wham, whammy. Thank you, mammy. And so now you have not only the people that you're this.
And they bought Pride in 05?
07.
07. How long did Pride last after that? Did they just shut it down?
No. They essentially bought it and kind of I think I believe
brought the fighters over from there.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is so that's what helped them not having that organization to fight for anymore. A lot of times they were able to fight for other places and everything like that, and a lot of the people from Pride ended up starting a new organization called Dream in 2008.
That's fun.
So a lot of the people that the production people and all those people kind of moved on and continued. And even Dream is very good. I believe a lot of fighters came from there.
Is Dream still around?
I believe so.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that. But them getting Pride and that kind of opening up and not having that competition anymore and having access to all those fighters now. Now all those fighters are essentially, they can come over and fight for the UFC.
That's cool.
And that was a long time for a while. There was a story with wanting to see Chuck Liddell against Vanderlei Silva. Like the UFC's light heavyweight champion against Pride's heavyweight champion. Like they did allow. I think there was one time where they did allow their fighter to go to Pride and everything like that.
Yeah.
But essentially, they got very lucky by them having that bad luck, and were able to acquire them and also cut them out. So it's like essentially the same thing as WWE and WCW.
Well, that's like, the thing
you
about
don't have that. Even if you were winning at that point, you have to put the final blow in, because otherwise you're going to end up having to compete with something that is absolutely. And I still, those fights hold the fuck up. Go watch those fights.
It's good you brought up. It's good you brought up WCW, because that's a thing. And you're talking about like Pride getting bought out, so that helps UFC because they have less competition. A lot like WWE loves to like rewrite history, and they go like, yeah, they were killing us because they were doing better, but then we just figured our shit out and we just had the better show. And it's like, yeah, sure, they started doing better in the ratings after 83 weeks, but the real thing that killed WCW is there was like this AOL merger or some shit like that, and they just stopped putting the proper resources into WCW.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the same reason fucking everyone thinks Blockbuster failed because Netflix came in. No, Blockbuster was doing great. They just got into too much debt.
Yeah.
And it's like, like some of these companies just get out of there because of mismanagement.
Sometimes,
and then WWE, like UFC, bought their competition.
But it's just about continuing to grow. Like, it wasn't as much of an overtaking, I don't think, as it was they wanted the rights to the catalog. So like that's essentially, they stayed separate organizations, the UFC and Pride, but like they never necessarily, because it was done. Like they essentially bought it, closed it. So like it was like they just let everything that still exists as that.
Yeah.
But it's done, and they just wanted their access to the fighters. Essentially, basically, now the fighters can't. They don't have that promotion to fight for anymore. So like now, UFC is the biggest fight in town.
Yeah.
So it is similar to WWF and WCW in that scenario, but and just a heads up, Dream lasted about 4 years. They were defunct in 2012, but their final champions. This is telling you something. Their heavyweight champion was Alistair Overeem, who ended up getting more success in UFC. Gegard Mousasi was the light heavyweight as well as the middleweight fighter, and he is another person. I don't think he ended up doing too much, but he is a very well-known fighter. So a lot of times, what gets me excited when that happens, where you're like, okay, they bought at the time that it happened, real time, when I was just a new UFC fan, and I don't know a lot about the history or about other organizations. And in my head, the pictures I always see, the posters I always see at Wing House or Hooters or wherever, was UFC. So like that to me was the name of the game. That's what I saw. Ultimate Fighting Championship on pay-per-view, all this other shit. But never really tried it till 2005. And then it gets this burst of incredible talent from championship, caliber of this whole other organization.
Yeah.
So like it's cool to see
So you're saying that interjection of Pride really helped boost the quality of fights and shit going on in UFC.
Much like how like now Chris Jericho is available to WWF, Dean Malenko, Chris
Benoit.
Funny? So like certain people that you're like, damn, these guys really round this shit out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, actually, it was a lot of the dudes coming over from WCW to WWE when they bought them out. Mm-hmm. It didn't really help out WWE because they tried to do a pay-per-view that was like WWE versus WCW, and then like all the dudes that were still there, like working for WCW, was like, oh, yeah, we don't care about them. It was more so when the dudes left WWF to go to WCW,
yeah,
where people were like, yeah, WCW's not bad, and they're like, oh fuck, they got Macho Man now. Oh shit, they got Hulk Hogan. Oh
yeah.
Oh, they got not Scott Steiner, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash.
It's almost like when you're building like a new team or something like that. When you get like an expansion team, and they're like, there's going to be a level of like, there's going to be a group of new players completely, but also we got to get some names in here to get people in to watch the product. Yeah. So like that,
you got to give people a thing they know.
Yeah. So I think that is, those three big things were were huge, and because they've acquired other organizations, they have other organizations. Invicta, I think is another one. I think that's all ladies.
Okay.
I think that still might be going on, or might most of these other organizations end up shutting down, even if the UFC starts them up, buys them out, whatever. If they let them continue to run, they just want the rights to it. Eventually, that all ends up coming down to the UFC. There's other bigger names like that are still hanging around, but they're not. Even Bellator recently.
Yeah.
Bellator, a lot of their championships, and you see Pride guys going against UFC guys, and a lot of times maybe losing. The only time where they bought or acquired an organization and a lot of their champions came over was Strikeforce. Strikeforce, when they ended up going into the UFC, almost all of their champions became champions in the UFC.
That's pretty cool.
So, like, that's the only time that's really...
Where was Strikeforce out of? Japan?
No, America. That was, I believe, that was Scott Croker's, the guy who ended up being the CEO of Bellator.
Okay.
That was his, I believe that's what it was. And
Yeah.
I think even then, I don't know if he ended up just selling to him or if they had to, like, I don't think it was like they weren't successful, so they had to get rid of the company. I think he just, I don't know the exact story of that
Sure,
one, but it's very similar to that. So anytime this happens, you know, Pride, all these fighters, Alistair Overeem, everybody, again, except for Fedor, never fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
And, like, that is the biggest what if, I would say, aside from Tony Ferguson against Khabib. Like, what if they ended up fighting Prime, and, like, what would have happened? It could have been a really chaotic, great... I really do feel like those are if you're getting into the lore of MMA, like you're talking about, you find out, like, there's storylines and there's things like this that there's big what ifs and there's, like, big... like points that you can actually go to, like within a couple of decades, and say, like, if that didn't happen, I don't think the UFC would be anywhere near what they are now. Just because, like, even if the UFC continued as they were and Pride continued as it was, that is a way more exciting product. It just is, but it's more organized and it's more consistent. I would say with UFC now, they have standards that are a little bit higher. They have testing that's a little bit higher. Again, a lot of people in Pride were juiced to the gills.
Oh, yeah. I remember that was part of it, too, where they were like, they'd be like talking to fight. In the one documentary, they were asking some of the fighters, they were like, so what was the drug testing protocol? And they didn't even answer the question. They just started laughing.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, exactly. You might pee in a cup and hand it to somebody, but nothing came back. Like, where you'd go, like, you'd hand it to them and you'd be like, all right, well, if there was, you know.
Like, hearing, like, all the shit behind the scenes at Pride, it got me excited because it reminded me of, like, learning about wrestling, about the territory days of where, like, you know, Ric Flair would have a crazy night and then walk out to his car, and then there'd be, like, his tires would get slashed because they legit thought he was, like, a piece of shit.
Right.
And shit like that. And it just reminded me of, like, the Wild Wild West chaos of, like, old school wrestling.
Yeah, that, to me, the Pride days were the perfect mix of, because like, you see it nowadays, and in my humblest of opinions, the merger between UFC and MMA, or UFC and WWE, recently, like, did more harm to the UFC.
In what way?
Because you can see it in the production. So, like, you see a lot of times, recently, Joshua Van beat Brandon Royval, and it was an impressive fight. And this is an unranked guy going against the top-ranked, I believe, bantamweight? No, not bantamweight. Featherweight? Flyweight. I think it's flyweight. Flyweight champion, 125. Little guys. And the champion was fighting a little bit later. And this kid, Joshua Van, put on a fucking clinic. Like, he beat this guy very convincingly. Decisively. It was it was a 100% win. Yeah. So when the champion in that division fought later on that night, when he won, like they're like, so would you consider fighting Joshua Van? And he's like, I'll take on anybody, whatever. And he's like, well, why don't we bring him in here? And they bring him into the fight, into the ring, to the octagon for a face-off. And it's like, why are you doing that? You don't have to do that.
It's like when Brock Lesnar.
You don't have to sell the fight. We already saw it.
It's like when Brock Lesnar came out to like talk shit to fucking
Daniel Cormier. Yeah,
and you're like, I know this isn't real.
That was Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is a genuine wrestling fan. He loves WWE. So he was trying to like. I think he was
on the show. He was in the crowd recently at one of the shows, and he got like the biggest pop ever.
Yeah, he is a genuine he is a amateur wrestler, which is hilarious because that's the Olympic level. But he's also a huge pro wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So he was trying to. That was him. That's what I'm saying. It's like they've done it before.
Yeah.
And it's either super clunky, like something like George St. Pierre coming in to tell Matt Hughes, "I'm not impressed with your performance." That was his trash talk.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's like, and he's like, "Here's the mic back."
Yeah. And it's like, I thought you did bad.
I didn't really like that, but I apologize for being rude.
Great effort regardless.
Great effort. You are a true champion. But they're doing a thing now where like it's so fucking manufactured where they're just like, oh boy, he's coming into the octagon. What's gonna happen? I don't know. It's all happening real time. So like they're not actually gonna do anything. They're gonna really punch each other in a couple of months.
That's what's gonna happen. It's kind of funny watching it too because it feels like they're trying to take things that enhance the other sports and apply it to the opposite sport, and you're like, no, those things don't make this better.
They help sell the things that you're doing,
dude. You know what?
Like when you're waiting in football and they show that spider camera going, and you're like, they're just standing still. Stop.
You know how?
Like, whoa, they're in the huddle. Whoa, you don't need that because they're actually going to punch each other in the face.
All you need is a camera on the sideline and the CGI football players.
Yeah,
that's all we need.
The guy hopping up and down.
Oh, dude, just running and doing that diving catch. Every time I would see that watching football games with my parents, I'd be like, "Can they play?" No, the merger affected wrestling recently. Where I don't know if you saw that shit with R-Truth. But, like, they were looking at R-Truth basically as, like, numbers on a piece of paper. And they're like, yeah, this guy does comedy sketches occasionally. Why would we pay him more? And then, basically, R-Truth was smart. He knew his worth. So they were just going to go, hey, we're just going to re-sign you to the same contract. And he goes, no, I want more fucking money. So he decided he didn't get fired. He just let his contract run out. Mm-hmm. And then the response online was fucking insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, dude, you got these guys in here not understanding the value you have in these wrestlers. And so then R-Truth got his fucking bag, and then he basically got in his contract, like, you have to make my character serious and actually give me a real stuff. Because for the longest time, and dude, it would be hilarious. He'd do some of the funniest bits, like, it'd be the middle of a Royal Rumble. He'd run out, pull out a ladder, climb the ladder, and just go like, where is it? And they're like, it's a Royal Rumble, dumbass. He would do funny bits all the time, but he was like, yeah, dude, I can like wrestle for real.
Yeah.
And so you see some of these people coming in just looking at these wrestlers like numbers in a spreadsheet, and it's like, nah, man, you got to understand like the level of love these wrestlers have and what they mean to this ecosystem.
And that's to me, that's the beauty of MMA is in something like wrestling, WWE has been the name for so long.
Yeah.
Like, and it's because they are doing vicious takeover shit. Like, for the most part. Not in every way, but they're playing dirty in a lot of ways.
Well, I wouldn't say that's the only reason because they do at the end of the day put out a good product. They had some rough years, but it's a mixture of a good product and aggressive business tactics.
And then you think of something like UFC or MMA in general, but UFC, they were not always the name. Like, you can look to a time in like somewhat recent history. They were looked at as a
joke for a while.
Yeah. So there, I'm not laughing at I like gimmick. I like personality, but I like it to be fighter to fighter. I don't want it to be pushed on everybody.
Yeah.
To say like Alexandre Pantoja is not the kind of guy that's got to bring that motherfucker in here. Let me look at him. Like there's nothing there. You don't have to sell this. We watch this.
Yeah.
So like I think they're thinking like, oh, it's got to be like wrestling where like we got to get more. If this is somebody's first time watching, we got to get them hooked. And it's like you will do that with your fighters' performances.
And that coincides too with the thing that just popped into my head, where it's almost akin to if I could bring up the Epstein shit again, because I've just been getting deep into it lately. When you see like people like Donald Trump or some of the people that are trying to like downplay it, they're talking like we don't already know about a lot of the shit. Yeah. And I feel like it's the same way with MMA, where it's like MMA fans, I've noticed this, know way too much about the sport at all times. Mm-hmm. You don't have to treat them like fucking like it's the and they you know what it is. If from what you're saying, it sounds like a problem WWE has had for a while. WWE a lot of times sells the product to the guy who just started watching that week.
Yeah,
and they definitely give the long-term fans like their little like here's your reward for watching for fucking 30 years.
Yeah.
They definitely do that a lot, but there's so many little things where you're like, the first person they think about is who's the guy who just started watching this week, and it's like, I don't know, man. Now, like I get AEW kind of goes a little too far the other way, but it's like if they could just figure out a happy medium on both shows, WWE, UFC, where you're like, obviously, make it welcoming to the new fan, but to the people who watch every week, can you stop treating us like we're retarded?
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Is like, don't do this. You don't have to do this. Like that's the thing. Is like that's the thing that like really stands out to me. Is you don't have to sell MMA. You have to let MMA sell itself. So like something. Yeah. So and that's the key. Is there doesn't need to be a segment producer for UFC. What you need is to allow people. What they did was, at one point in the UFC early days. So like the reason I feel comfortable talking about this in this episode is because it's around the same time. They weren't allowing fighters to come out with like gimmicks. Couldn't come out with like.
Could they pick their own music?
I think so. At that point, you still could, but like
you couldn't have like Israel doing a fucking.
Legitimately, there's one guy. I think the fighter's name was Chemo. I believe was his name. I don't know for sure, but I believe it was. And he wanted to come out with this giant cross, carrying a giant cross out. So what he did was he snuck it in by labeling it all exercise equipment, and he had it all in these bags and stuff like that. And he put it together. And came out. When
was this, UFC?
Yeah,
and it's hilarious.
And it's one of those things where Pride was a thing where they're like, we will allow that. You can do that, but you don't have to. Like Ken Shamrock fought, but he didn't come out with like a valet and like or anything like that. Or if Boss Rutan came out, he didn't come out like any of this thing. Like there weren't like a lot of fighters. I think Boss Rutan was the commentator for Pride.
That sounds like
something like that. Where like, but Sakuraba, who was coming from pro wrestling, could do his gimmicks and shit like that. You could come out wearing a flag or wearing your gi or doing something like that. Whereas now UFC is like, you got to come out in your crypto.com fucking shirt that has Monster Energy on it.
Yeah, you can't
have your flag.
You can't make. Oh, that's crazy to me.
Like they brought it back recently, but like for a while they were saying you can't have your. So like.
Wait, they don't let them come out? That's psychotic.
I think they do now. They didn't. There was a time where a long time that they didn't. And then you think about that, all that shit, and you're like, you don't. But now there's like somebody going like, okay, bring in Paddy the Baddy. Go ahead, bring him in. Yeah, bring him in. Like, we're gonna have a face off, and it's like, and Dana White's like, what's going on? Who's doing that? If the CEO doesn't know why a fighter's being brought in for a face off in his own company,
is that real?
Yeah. He was like, I think that was the dumbest fucking idea in the world. He's like, that was so stupid because he doesn't want Paddy to fight Ilya yet, because he wants to fight. There's other people that are higher ranked.
So there's people in UFC not consulting Dana White who are on the production team telling Paddy the Baddy to come in. What's his name? Paddy the Fatty?
Yeah, Paddy
no, I know.
Pimblett, yeah.
I know the joke. He gets fat in between fights. But no. So wait, there's someone not consulting Dana White telling Paddy the Baddy to jump in and talk shit.
They're just like now they're just doing face-offs after every fucking fight or something. Like there's just this bullshit where there's. It's too.
Well, that's why you
I
don't
feel like
get
it's
people,
too forced, and it's not. They're not allowing fighters to express themselves genuinely enough, and you know
what the fucking problem is. That is, and I have no proof of this, but just by hearing what you're saying, that is money people trying to be creative, and whenever money people need to trust the creative people. I know it's hard because it's their money. I get it, but like money people go, what worked? What did that guy do that got him a bunch of followers and money?
Yep.
Everyone do that exactly.
Bring in a steel chair.
So they think like, oh, shit-talking face-offs sells fights. What if we did that exact thing every single fucking time?
And that's what I'm saying is like there's certain people, like it used to be like there was like a weird, unspoken code or whatever, you don't talk about each other's families, you don't do this. Now there's just like guys are going like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to kill him. And you're like, you're not, that's actually a possibility in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So like maybe don't say that. Like it's also possible in wrestling as well, but like it's way less likely. At least it's less. There's way less possibility as far as like they're not actually gonna slam them on their head. They're trying to slam them in a particular way that makes it look like they're slamming them.
Yeah. The problem is it's like the social media has shifted everyone's mind into what gets the most clicks. So the thought process is like, what gets me the most clicks, and then they consider if that's too far or not. When it's like, you should just. Like, it's so ironic because everyone nowadays is so starved for authenticity. And it's like, that's why I like when I was joking about it earlier, that's why I like Don Fry. Not because I'm sitting there going like, yeah, I'm sure I believe in it, believe every opinion he has. I go, no, because he thought that like, he wears the terrorist suck shirt because that's him just being himself.
Yeah.
And watching someone be genuine is like entertaining, whether I agree with him or not. Andy Malfrino, pro-terrorist. Whether I agree with...
Terrorists might suck. That's your shirt.
Some terrorists are okay.
Oh, yeah. Some, and not a cab. A scab.
A scab.
A scab.
So, did you have more?
No, I mean, just in general.
I don't want to cut you off
Rest in Pride. You wonderful, wonderful organization. And I highly suggest... There's plenty of fights on YouTube that are just out there.
Plenty. I watched a bunch of them.
But if you have the Fight Pass app or a code even, just check out. Just type in any fighter that you like. See if you see them in any blue gloves. If you see them in blue gloves, most likely that's the Pride fights. And almost every one of the big name fighters that you saw in early UFC were definitely fighting in Pride.
Fucking
like
shit up
Lyoto Machida, Shogun Rua's fights in Pride were epic. They're truly battles. Like it was a way different organization than most of the MMA you're watching now. And I do understand if some people were like, it's just human cockfighting, blah, blah, blah. But I still think that there's so much value in those early shows. Spectacle wise, it's everything, because again, you shouldn't have to sell any fighters, but you should allow fighters to sell themselves.
Yeah.
Like that's the true, and I think that was truly the one of the biggest successes with Pride was like you're letting fighters fight. You're letting fighters fight each other.
The best example,
they can use any technique they want.
The best example is almost like when Conor McGregor first came out. He kind of was like going into business for himself, which is bad in wrestling, but in MMA it seems to help. He became a sensation. And then you have what's his name? Conor McMaga, the white dude that's always like saying almost racist
Colby
shit.
Covington?
Colby Covington.
Yeah.
You see Colby Covington and his whole persona's contrived, And, he does a good job of getting people to piss you off, but, like, no one actually fucks with the dude.
Yeah, and I think there's also plenty of times where, like, there's fighters that find success being themselves and not necessarily conforming even to, like, the UFC kind of, like, humdrum, boring shit that it is.
Yeah.
And still are able to still succeed even in the new era where they're being this weird WWE ripoff kind of bullshit. Is Derek Lewis, I think, is a good example of that, who has always been exactly
himself,
and like has been in an organization that goes from, like, he wasn't necessarily, it was becoming more of a sports league at the time, early years of him being there, but like throughout the whole transition has always had his own style, and he does it with like unconventional tactics, much like wrestlers.
Yeah.
So in his most recent fight, and he does this a lot of times where he'll act like he got hurt more than he did. He does it a million times. Yeah, this guy, he was fighting this guy who had one fight in the UFC at the time, but was 8-0 or something like that. Very impressive. Lots of believe all first round finishes.
Yeah.
He's going up against Derek Lewis, and Derek Lewis straight up says, "I wish I would have seen Derek Lewis in Pride, because he would have been a bigger celebrity way sooner than he was." But he said straight up, he said in one of his things, he said, I don't think this guy should be fighting me. Like, he's not ready. And within the first minute of the fight, the guy took a swipe, punched him, and it looked like Derek Lewis was going, like, and he's acting like he got something in his eye. And then when he got closer, he went, bam! Like, he has this, like,
unconventional
style.
style.
It's like you would see in pro wrestling.
Wait, did this happen recently?
It was like a week ago, I believe. A week or two ago.
Right. So he did that right before he was talking about his wife's fine ass.
Yeah, literally. Like, and then he has his gimmicks and shit. Like, he has shit where he like takes his shorts off. My balls was hot. USA up in this hoe. Like, all the shit. After his fight, he was like off the phone he's like, I was just on the phone with Trump. He literally is revisiting some old hits that he had from.
Oh, really?
He fought Alexander Volkov at the Conor McGregor versus Khabib fight. And that was when he blew up first. But he has been that fighter forever.
Yeah.
It is, and that is something that, like, the UFC does have a really good job. If a fighter has a great personality or has a lot of charisma or a lot of shit, they do let them do that. But they also try to force it on a lot of fighters that aren't that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think you really need to do, is like let the fighters be who they are. If they want to put on a fucking MVP has some of the greatest celebrations. He's a fighter from Bellator, Michael Venom Page. He has a ton of celebrations that he plans. He is so confident and he's so good. He fights a lot of soup cans as well. But he ends up he shattered a guy's orbital socket with a flying knee. And after the guy fell down, the ref, called it off or whatever. And he put on a hat and he threw a Pokeball and he fucking did the ash.
I saw that one.
Like, he literally.
Wait, is that a black dude?
Yeah, he's in the UFC now, and he's having way more competitive fights with, like.
He seems cool. Some of those I've seen a bunch of his some of those do suck ass.
Yeah.
They're a little too, like.
You did too much.
You did too much. But I get what you're saying, though. Like, I do appreciate, like, there is something about, like, I knew I was going to win that celebration.
Yeah. So, like, I think that's part of why Pride was so successful, and I wish the UFC would do that. But that's my final thought.
Derek, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm probably going to suck on my wife's titties for 9 hours later.
With your fine ass.
With your fine ass. I'm probably going to dig up inside her ass and live there for a couple days.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you know what's really funny? I played my wife that clip, and she was like, "Aw."
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the greatest thing. It's for everybody. Who couldn't love Derek Lewis?
It's wild.
Can we do the next episode on Derek Lewis?
That's it. Brother,
the Knockout King?
We could change this to no more Derek Lewis's.
Well, why don't we do, what is it? Fuck it. Derek Lewis KO highlights. 16 KOs in never mind. This isn't the Derek Lewis episode. We will do one, though.
Yeah. It might be tough to fucking
He's in Houston. Can we go interview him?
Oh, yeah, he lives in Houston.
I keep saying that to everybody. Like, I want them to go, like, should we go visit him? And every time I bring it up, they're like, cool. And it's like, don't you want to go, like, train with him or something?
Yeah, there are funny moments where you're like, If I bring up Derek Lewis around you and you don't get fucking hyped, I question everything about you.
Yeah, if you don't know who
Not to
Derek,
sound like a fucking huge homosexual, but like Derek Lewis is the coolest dude.
how do you not like him? Like, how do you not? He is.
I judge you on how much you don't like Derek Lewis.
Immensely funny. He's an incredible fighter. He jokes that jiu-jitsu don't work on him, just get up. And legitimately, there's highlights.
I've seen compilations of Derek Lewis just getting up,
just pushing people off of, and you're like, that's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane the strength that he has, and he is, he's one of my all-time favorite fighters.
No, because Derek Lewis is one of those dudes that like.
And there's very little traditional technique being used.
You walk around during the day being like, yeah, I'm a man. I'm a whole man. And then you see people like Derek Lewis and you're like, I'm actually a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
And so that's why you get hyped over Derek Lewis because you're like, yeah, no, that's a fucking dude. And he can like back up all the shit talk. That's why I learned how to be funny. I can't back up any shit talking.
Yeah. Yeah, and the more I learned how to back it up, the less funny I got, so I stopped training.
Yeah. Wow. Wait. Oh, if that's the case, you must really be able to back it up.
Brother.
Now I'm really scared of you, Pat. What are we talking about next week?
Derek Lewis. Or John McCain.
Just Derek Lewis?
Versus John McCain.
We're gonna dream match.
We could talk about the early days of the UFC. We could talk about John McCain. That actually, yeah.
You want to do a Derek Lewis Sakuraba megasode?
Brother, we could do that right now.
Just us coming buckets,
brother,
for an hour.
Those two guys, Fabricio Verdum would be another really fun deep dive. I have a list of. You're
the MMA guy. You pick.
I have a bookmarked list on my phone of fighters playlist that I have saved. Just why don't we just Anthony Smith is on there.
Why don't we just do a coolest dudes episode?
Some of our favorite fighters.
Yeah, some of our favorite boys.
I would do our favorite boys episode.
Oh, dude, let's do favorite guys.
Favorite guy.
Our favorite guys.
Favorite MMA guys.
Yeah, that was a joke I made that I made myself laugh. Where I was like talking to your girl about a podcast you like is basically being like. So here's some of my favorite boys. I think they're really funny.
Favorite MMA boys.
Some of my favorite boys. All right, next week, Pat and Andy's.
Next week is definitely going to be demonetized, and it's definitely going to get taken down by YouTube because we're probably going to play highlights. Or we're going to watch them over here, and I'll just include the playlist. How about that?
We'll mute them.
Yeah,
and then that will they'll still search through the metadata.
If you get taken down for pickleball, I mean, come on.
Oh my fucking god! The nerve of pickleball to demonetize our episode.
So yeah, next week is our favorite MMA boys.
Favorite MMA boys.
Yeah, we love you.